the Trayvon Martin situation. That's an excellent example of the failure of black leadership. I mean, they sent Al down there and Messy Jesse and the rest of them, and all they did was do what? Compromise with the power structure. Compromise with the power structure. You mean to tell me that this man shot a brother? He's not even a police officer. If he was, it still wouldn't have been justified, but he was a regular citizen. Town watch pursued this brother. The stand your ground law does not allow you to pursue the victim. The stand your ground law protects you if you take somebody's life, if you felt that your life was being imminently threatened. But it does not protect you if you pursue. I just had this conversation with a black judge in New Jersey this past Sunday when I was speaking at one of the churches up there. Okay? And we had this conversation in depth. She said the stand your ground law does not protect you if you pursue the victim. That man clearly pursued the victim. And black people stood around talking about why wasn't justice served? Because white supremacy is based on power, not laws. And this is why I differ with my brothers and sisters who always talking about the damn law. The law is only going to work to a certain extent. This world is not run by law. It's run by power. The white man has been in control for damn near millennium, not because of laws, but because of power. When he went in and did what he did, when that white man went in and did what he did to Gaddafi and did what he did to Saddam Hussein and did what he did to us on the continent then and now, that ain't had nothing to do with no law. He broke every international law that's ever been written. He broke every one. Remember, the man with power has no need for the law because the law is written for the people who he oppresses. Study the use of law, and you'll find that law is used to control the behavior of the oppressed, not the oppressor. The oppressor don't follow no damn law. The cracker don't follow no law whatsoever. The Trayvon Martin case clearly showed you that. If he followed the law, that man would have been arrested on the spot because stand your ground wasn't covered in his particular behavior. But because black power didn't force white power to do something that it didn't want to do, that man was allowed to stay out free. And even now, he's out on bail. He shouldn't have been given no damn bail. And if he was given bail, it should have been set higher than what it was. That was pocket change what they charged him on his bail. You only got to post 10 to 15% of it anyway. That was pocket change. But Zimmerman's father was a Jew, well-connected European. His mother connected. They part of white power. They are part of the power structure. So if we wanted that man to go to jail the night that he was arrested, we needed to do something different. Press conferences, rallies, marches, that shit is played out if it's going to be used by itself. It must be backed up with something stronger. What should have happened was black people should have descended on that town and shut it the hell down by disrupting traffic, disrupting the economic order, disrupting the natural order of life. We should have been on the damn highway. So anybody who thought they was flying out of Florida that day ain't going to be able to because we blocking the road to the damn airport. We should have blocked the road to school so nobody would have been able to send their damn children to school. That's how you get their attention. You do not get the attention of the power structure by bringing in Al Sharpton because Al Sharpton represents the power structure. Well, see, one of the things about the Trayvon case that upset me, and I'm not negatively criticizing, I'm just constructively criticizing because the Trayvon case wasn't about Trayvon. It was about every black man in this country. When his parents were interviewed on CNN about the case, in typical Christian fashion, and I respect them because I know that they're mourning, so I'm just analyzing this from a political standpoint. But in typical Christian fashion, which we tend to do all too much to our detriment, they spoke extensively about how they were not angry at Zimmerman and about how, as Christians, they had to forgive him. and they spoke at length, and I don't know if this was scripted by Sharpton or the NAACP or whatever other members of the black bourgeoisie who may have been influencing the family to begin with, because I really didn't see the need for them to be on CNN in the first place. But nonetheless, they made it crystal clear that they held no grudge. I thought that was bad. And I thought that was bad because this man committed a crime, took the life of your son, and you're hurting because of it. You could clearly see that they were hurting. But instead of letting the anger come out, that y'all let this man free after he pursued and shot my son, and that there was at least one witness who saw that he had no need to kill him, and then after he shot him, stood over him and shot him again. Instead of the anger coming out and the pain coming out, the forgiveness and the compassion came out. See, that speaks to the political immaturity of black people. They were hurting, but they were supposed to unleash the anger. They were supposed to make it clear that if this man ain't arrested and convicted, we got a serious problem with that. We can't reverse it, but we want America to know, like Emmett Till's mother did. We want America to know that this was a damn hate crime. Zimmerman, this whole thing is a hate crime. Why is it not being cast as a hate crime? The reason it ain't being cast as a hate crime, and the reason why Sharpton and the rest of those fools ain't trying to position it like a hate crime, which is what it was, is because a hate crime is a federal offense. It is a felony. It is mandatory time that you must serve. That was a half white, half Hispanic, if he was Hispanic, whatever he was, killing a brother. That man identifies as white. He don't identify as no man of color. His father's a Jew. He killed a black man. That was a damn hate crime, and he should have been charged with a hate crime. But the whole conversation over a hate crime never even surfaced because even black people felt that it would have been going too far to accuse that man of a hate crime. And then to have his parents come on TV and talk about how compassionate they were, about how they don't hold a grudge and don't forgive them, that was not the time and place for that. That's something you say when you at church. That's something you say when you amongst your family. But when you are on the European propaganda network, you make it clear to the world. Everybody watches CNN. Everybody knows about the Trayvon case. All 6 continents, all of them. Everybody was watching that interview. You're supposed to make it clear that this was trifling. This is what happens to black men on a regular basis. And an example needs to be made out of Zimmerman to all white men that you cannot take the lives of black men and walk. But instead of that, what did we get? We got a peaceful, I love everybody, I'm into the spirit of Christianity speech. And I think that their words opened the door. I can't say for sure, but as a political analyst, I think their words opened the door for a possible reduction in sentence, if not an outright acquittal of Zimmerman in carrying out that hate crime against our brother. I really think what they said out of their mouths made it easier for them to charge him with second degree instead of first, easier for them to give him a nickel and dime bail, and then make it easier for them to give him a life sentence if he gets a sentence at all. And the other thing I want to say, brothers, is this. Zimmerman getting arrested was not a victory. Zimmerman getting arrested was not a victory. Trayvon is still dead. Black people were celebrating. Zimmerman wasn't tried. He wasn't charged with anything. Well, at this point he has been, okay? But he hasn't been found guilty, and he hasn't been given a sentence. So he was arrested and he was charged. But all he was charged. That has to be proven in court. Right. He has not been found guilty and has not been given a sentence. What the hell are we celebrating for? And if you look at the news media, they are shifting all of the compassion to Zimmerman instead of the family and to Trayvon. We have to stop celebrating. We celebrate too early, and we celebrate empty victories. The only reason why Zimmerman was arrested, listen to me clear, the only reason why Zimmerman was arrested is because this is an election year. President Obama and his Democratic think tank thought it was in the best interest of his party so he did not suffer from a black backlash at the polls to arrest Zimmerman to look like Obama is making sure justice is being carried out. He sent Al Sharpton down there. Al Sharpton is an Obama functionary. He sent Sharpton down there. That's why Sharpton was at the press conference with the family when they talked about Zimmerman finally being arrested. That was a campaign stunt. That's all it was. And don't be surprised that Zimmerman won't be found guilty, if at all, or sentenced until after Obama is reelected, because the arrest was nothing but a campaign stunt to make sure Obama got no backlash from the damn voters as a result of Zimmerman still being on the street. One of the things that we got to be crystal clear about, and of course I say this all the time, and I've said it on your show previously, and that is the essential necessity of changing the mindset of black people before you can change their condition. It is absolutely essential. Take the Trayvon case again as a case study. And unfortunately, brothers, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but there's going to be more Trayvons. There has to be more Trayvons. Because as my great ancestor Frederick Douglass said, the limits of tyrants are prescribed by who? Themselves? No. He said, but by the people they oppress. Douglass taught us over 100 years ago that your enemy is going to go as far as you let him. He will not stop. He will not stop. So the fact that this regular citizen was able to shoot a child, point blank range, cold blood, and not go to jail for several weeks and then post a nickel and dime bail, do you know what that does to the everyday other white man and woman in America? That has already sown the seed in their head that I can do the same thing that Zimmerman did. Remember, in law, you have what's called case study. You have case law. Whenever a judge has to make a decision, if the case doesn't go to jury, or even if it does go to jury, the jury also has to consider what? Previous cases involving the same circumstances. So now, once Zimmerman gets his sentence, or even the fact that he was allowed not to be arrested for so long after shooting somebody in cold blood, a child, defenseless, guess what happens? Whatever Zimmerman's sentence is going to be, if he's found guilty, that automatically sets a precedent. So when the next white man or woman decides they want to kill another black man or woman, the judge automatically has to consider the what? The case law involving citizens who shoot black teens. And they'll be able to say, well, in Florida, we had the same circumstance, and he wasn't arrested for it because he was covered by the stand your ground law, even though he pursued his victim. So since he was covered by the stand your ground law, even though he pursued the victim, my client should also be covered by the stand your ground law, even though they pursued the victim. So this ain't just about Zimmerman. This ain't just about Trayvon's family. This is about all of us, because Trayvon's case will become case law.